What is up, everybody? Or should I say, hello, friends? It is Masters Week, and it is going to be a fun one. It is my favorite tournament of the year. It is most people's favorite golf tournament of the year. I'll go out on a limb and say this is the best golf tournament in the universe, unless some aliens have some, really cool golf courses out there on their planets, then yeah, this has got to take the cake. So I'm excited for this week. We're going to go through the entire player pool for the Masters. There are 89 golfers in the field this week. But before we do, let's look at the model input. So these are going to change each week. If you are a premium member at RotoGrinders, you can download this model. You can customize it to your own liking. It's a lot of fun to play around with. All the weights on this very top row are adjustable. You can also change any of the numbers in the model, and it will automatically change the ratings here in this column here. So if you want to go through and let's say you don't really trust Victor Hovland's numbers over the last 3 months when it comes to his approach play, you can go ahead. You can say, I think he's a top 10 iron player over the last 3 months. You can change that. It'll automatically change the rating. So you can change pretty much anything in this model, and it will automatically account for it in the rating here. Now, this week is tough to model because we do have the live golfers in the field, and anyone that is looking at that uses data and stats for their modeling, it's going to be tough because we don't have any strokes gain data on live, and also they play a lot of resort courses. They played Doral last week, which was a difficult course. But other than that, they play a lot of resort courses, which are a lot easier than the courses that we typically see on the PGA Tour. So we don't know truly how well everyone's playing. We don't know the strokes gain. We don't know if guys are, getting lucky on the greens or, hitting the ball well. Typically, we like to see the good ball striking, things like that. So I went back. I did for the live golfers. I went back and looked at the last 2 years combined, and then took out all of their last 3 months and 6 months data. This is really the only way you can do it statistically. So that is why you're going to see a lot of empty things here. And then I went through each golfer and kind of manually adjusted anything that looked off. So somebody like Patrick Reed had really bad birdie or better numbers. So I went through and adjusted his number to kind of make it fit to what I think, his actual statistics should be. But that's kind of the difficult part of this week. I do think all the live guys are going to get overlooked outside of, maybe Brooks, maybe Patrick Reed, maybe Neiman, somebody like that. Yeah, we'll talk about all of them individually. So as far as the stats go this week, pretty big weight to off the tee, pretty big weight to driving distance. So Augusta National, 7,500 yards. They mow the fairways into the grain, which means the grass is growing toward the tee boxes. And what this does is it minimizes rollout. On top of that, it's a very long course. So it is going to play very long. I've seen estimates out there saying it actually plays closer to 7,800 yards. So I do think driving distance is going to be important. And if you look at the fairways, they're over 50 yards wide on average. So very wide fairways. There's essentially no rough. There's a first cut of rough, and then there's pine straw. The first cut of rough is essentially the fairway at your local municipal course. And then you have the actual fairway, which is, pristine condition. This entire course, Augusta National, perfectly manicured, absolutely beautiful. Can't wait to see it in action. Hopefully we get some good weather. It does look like it could rain on Thursday and then pretty windy on Friday, but it looks like the weekend's going to be pretty nice. But yeah, that's something you should be checking on a Wednesday evening as you finalize your lineups. Make sure to keep the weather in the back of your mind because we saw last week it did make a pretty big impact on the overall scoring between waves. Pretty big weight to strokes gain approach. So these greens are about 6,400, 6,500 square feet on average, which is pretty average for PGA Tour course in terms of the size, but they are contoured and they do feature runoff areas. So you got to be very precise with your irons if you do want to give yourself birdie looks, especially on the par threes and par fours. The runoff areas do create a lot of tricky chip shots off of tight lies. So tidy short game is going to be important. Good approach game is going to be important. I bumped up strokes gain around the green a little bit. We have seen batted putters perform well here over the past. You'll probably need to putt well if you want to win this event, but it's more about tee to green than it is about putting. You will have guys that get red hot on the greens, but these are just such a unique test because They are 14 on the stip meter, and the contours here are extremely tough to deal with. So it's really more about, course knowledge, course history than it is about, being a good putter when it comes to Augusta National. The greens here are bent grass. So if you do want to look at bent grass splits, they're here in this column. Birdie or better percentage, I have a pretty low just because I do think, is going to be able to make birdies at this course, especially on the par fives. But at the same time, it's just such a different course. So I don't know, being able to make birdies at, I don't know, just one of the easier courses on the PGA Tour. I don't know if that, it really has any indication of how well a golfer is going to play at Augusta National. Bogey avoidance I put at 5% total. So course history at Augusta National, by far the most predictive of any course on the PGA Tour. So definitely bumped up course history this week to 8%. Guys that have played the best here over the years, you have Jon Rahm, Will Zalatoris, Scotty Scheffler, Jordan Spieth, Phil Mickelson, Tiger Woods, who I'm glad to see tee it up again this week. My approach with Tiger is going to be pretty simple. He is going for the all-time consecutive made cut record at Augusta National. This is one of the few records that, he actually still has in his grasp that he can break. And so I think he will absolutely make the cut. He's plus 120 on DraftKings. That is one of my favorite bets of the week. And then you don't have to worry about him on Saturday and Sunday. We've seen him withdraw after making the cut a number of times in recent years. And that way you don't have to trust his body for 4 days. You just have to trust it to hold up over the course of Thursday and Friday. He can make the cut around here with his eyes closed. So I will be betting that. Course fit, this is from Data Golf, their course fit. I've had it as 0% weight just because some of the guys like Scheffler and them didn't rate out all that well in terms of the course fit. So I didn't really want to put that in too much, but I kept it in the model. If you do want to look at it, somebody like Bryson, Cam Smith rates out really well. Ryan Fox, which is interesting. He's been in really bad form. Shows gained in the majors over the last 3 years. Scheffler, Rahm, Rory, Xander, and Zalatoris. Not a surprising list there. And then I went and looked at long courses, difficult courses, and courses that have good fields. And that's going to be this column here. Put it at 6% of the total weight. Rahm, Scheffler, Zalatoris, Hideki, and Patrick Reed. Form in the last 10 weeks is just doesn't actually go into the model. It just kind of is to show you how often a golfer is playing, how well they've been playing. This includes Korn Ferry Tour, DP World Tour, LIV, and PGA Tour. So you're going to be able to go through all the LIV guys and see how they have been playing. Let me quickly sort here. So you can see Brooks Koepka. There's been 5 LIV events so far this year. You can see how he's done in all 5 of those. And we have the short-term form, which is going to be a mix of the last 24 rounds and the last 6 months. We have the midterm form, which is a mix of the last 50 rounds, the last 9 months. And we have the long-term form, which is a mix of the last 100 rounds and the last 2 years. I bumped that up a little bit just to kind of help the numbers for the LIV players. Let's get to the overall ratings. Now, modeling, again, this is the major. This is one of those courses where guys that aren't in the best of form can show up here and play well. We've seen Fred Couples, Bernhard Langer, guys like that, show up at the ages in the 50s and make the cut here. So it's definitely a different week than most. If you do like somebody that doesn't project necessarily well, this is a great week to ignore the projection, go with your gut. If you do want somebody to rate out better than they do in the model currently, all you got to do is come over to this manual adjustment column and you can give somebody a 10% boost and they'll automatically move up the rankings. Now, at the very top, we have Scotty Scheffler. It's hard not to like Scotty Scheffler. I was looking at it yesterday. So he's played in his last 34 events. He's finished T12 or better in 30 of them. Just unreal run that he's been on. He finally found the putter. He switched to a mallet before the Arnold Palmer Invitational. He won that event, backed it up with a win at the Players. Then finished second in Houston, which he probably should have won. I mean, he 3-putted from 3 feet on Friday. He didn't play particularly well on Sunday on the back nine. He missed a 5-footer to force a playoff. So for me, I'm going to be overweight on Scheffler. I mean, his odds to finish in the top 5 are about 50-50, about minus or plus 100 in the betting market. So if he finishes in the top 5, I think you're going to probably need him. Unless, you get one of these other 2 that wins and then, somehow he just doesn't get enough points to end up being in the optimal lineup. But I think the chances are pretty good that he wins. I think he might end up being my only outright bet of the week. Everyone else is chasing these bigger numbers. I get it, but this is just one of those events where you're not going to see a lot of surprise winners. You're going to see a lot of big names win this event, and I didn't really feel great about Xander. He broke my heart at the Players. So yeah, I think I might just bet Scheffler at plus 450. Give myself a sweat. I think he's going to be there on Sunday, and then focus the rest of my betting card on placements and some fun parlays, make cut parlays, top 40 parlays, things like that. So love Scheffler in all formats. Xander, he's played well here in the past. He's played well at the majors. He almost won the year Hideki won. He was in second place in 2019. He was top 10 in 2023. He's actually number one in the stat model, probably because he's a much better putter than Scheffler is. And he really checks all the boxes. I mean, he's played great. I think he's finished top 10 in 6 of 8 starts so far this season. So love Xander, number 2 in the model. Then we have Jon Rahm, who has not won on LIV yet, but finished T8 or better in all 5 of his appearances over there. Granted, they aren't the deepest fields. I think there's 54 golfers teeing it up over there each week, and they're not the most difficult golf courses. But he's Jon Rahm. The only factor that I don't love is the defending champions don't often win here again the next year. So I like Rahm. I think he could get squeezed a little bit in this upper range. Rory McIlroy, not sure what to expect. I mean, good finish last week. I think he gained 14 strokes tee to green. 10.2 strokes tee to green. There's just so much pressure on him at Augusta. I mean, even if he's in the mix, he's just going to have that cloud hanging over him. He's had so many opportunities to win the green jacket, just hasn't been able to get it done. So I don't know. I don't have a strong take on Rory. For me, if I'm spending on anyone above 10K, it's going to be Scheffler. Now, MME, I'll probably get some Rory. I'll probably get some definitely get some Xander, and I'll be overweight on Scheffler. But Rahm, I'll probably be underweight on the field. Hovland, so nobody is wanting to play Hovland. I get it. His around the green game has been terrible. He's lost 14 strokes around the green in his last 5 starts. But I mean, he rates out number 5 in the model. Granted, my model does take into account a lot of long-term stuff, but rates out pretty well for me. The ball striking's still been good. He's a guy that hits a ton of greens in regulation. He's been awesome at the majors. He was T7 here last year. If nobody's going to play him at this price point, I will gladly be overweight. I don't know what to expect from Brooks. So last 2 starts on LIV, T45, T48. Now, these are not good finishes because they are, very small fields. He only beat like 8 golfers last week at Doral. And typically when Brooks Koepka wins a major, he puts together a very strong finish the week before. That's just how it's always been. So I worry about Brooks a little bit more than most at 10-2. I do like Hideki. I mean, former winner here. He won Riviera earlier this year, which is a good comp course. Top 20s each of his last 4 appearances here. His tee to green game's been awesome. I think he's going to be very popular, but I think he is an excellent option. Then we come to the best value play of the week, at least for my model, or well, I should say second best value play, but my favorite value play, and that's the hit Tagala. So for the longest time, he's been this short game specialist that he hasn't been consistent because he relies so heavily on putting and around the green for a lot of his strokes gain stuff. And that's just not as predictable week in and week out as ball striking is. But we've seen the ball striking come alive. He's gained over 7 strokes ball striking 2 of his last 5 events. If that happens this week, he could contend. He finished T9 here in his debut, put together a very nice Sunday. I think he chipped in a couple times. The wide fairways here definitely going to help him off the tee because he does tend to spray the ball a little bit. I think he is an excellent option. I'm totally fine eating the chalk when it comes to him at this price point. He could be 8,500 and still project as a solid value in my model. The other guy that's getting squeezed outside of Victor, going to be Colin Morikawa. So he has struggled recently. His last 3 starts, nothing better than the T45. But 3 straight top 20s at the Masters. He's a guy that hits a lot of fairways, good iron player, underrated short game. The concern, he's lost 5.9 strokes on approach in his last 3 starts. That is very unlike Colin Morikawa. But we talked about Tommy Fleetwood dealing with the same issue last week, and he ended up playing really well at the Valero Texas Open. So, Morikawa, he's had some time, didn't play last week. Or no, he did play last week. Maybe he can figure it out at a place that he's played well here in the past. Can't think of a better course fit for Ludwig Aubert. Been playing great. He is a first-timer here. You're going to hear that first-time narrative a lot that they can't win. But we don't need Ludwig to win in order to pay off his salary. I mean, we've seen a bunch of guys play well in here and there debuts. Zalatoris, Sung J M, Tigala. If he comes out and finishes in the top 10, you're probably going to need him in DFS. Perfect course fit, great form. No issue with him in any format. Neiman has been on fire over on Live. He's picked up 2 wins already this year. And I was looking at his stats on Live. They don't have strokes gained, but they do have some of the old school stats. He's top 4 in driving distance, top 4 in birdie or better percentage, top 4 in greens and regulation, and those are going to translate to Augusta National. I do like Neiman. If he's going to be under-owned, I will definitely try to get around 15 to 20% of him. Spieth always plays well at the Masters, outside of one miscut 2 years ago, but other than that, it's just a place where he shows up and dominates. The T10 last week was encouraging, even though he had to play it off the roof on that one hole. That was kind of crazy, but I do like Spieth. I think Zalatoris, if he was in better form, he would be one of the more popular plays on the board, but he's coming off of back-to-back miscuts. I'm not concerned. He loves majors. He loves difficult golf courses. He loves Augusta National. Sign me up for a low-owned Zalatoris. The guy that I'm going to be underweight on that scares me is going to be Wyndham Clark. So he's $10K. That's expensive. I know he won the U.S. Open last year. I know he won Pebble earlier. I know he finished second to Scheffler at API in the Players. But first-timer here, he doesn't project well for me. I just don't. I'm never as high on Clark as the field, and that has burned me a couple of times already this year. Cam Smith WD'd from the Live event last week. That is a small concern, but I think he's going to be just fine. Another one of those guys that always plays well at Augusta National, so easy to get overweight on him. DJ's won already this year on Live. He's a former winner at Augusta. Like I said, I think all these Live guys are just going to be under-owned because they're so tough to model and because they've just been out of the spotlight for the public. For the casual golf fan that, now that they're back in the mix, nobody wants to play them. But I'm going to be overweight on most of them, except Brooks. Brooks is probably the one guy that I'll be underweight on. Cam Young, perfect fit for him. He's a lot like Ludwig Aubert in that he's an absolute bomber off the tee, good with the long irons. He finished 7th here last year, nearly won his last time out. He's one of those guys that I could see his first win coming at a major. First one on the PGA Tour, which is very rare, but I could see that happening for Cam Young. Going to be overweight on him. Lowry's been in good form. I think he's got 4 straight top 30s on tour. He's got 4 straight top 25s at Augusta. Good fit, and it's going to be windy. He loves windy conditions. Moving down, Cantlay's a fade for me. Just doesn't project that well. Hasn't been playing very good. The ball striking's been bad. I do like Justin Thomas, so he's coming off with 2 bad performances. I think they were both miscuts, but it was all putter related. Very good tee to green, elite around the green, elite on approach. So I do like JT at 6%. Sign me up for that. Love Finau this week. He's been playing well. Let's see. Yeah, so he's gained at least 4.9 strokes, tee to green in 5 of his last 7 starts. Gained 14 in Houston the last time out. So I do think Finau is an excellent option. I mean, he finished top 5 here of the year. He dislocated his ankle at the par 3 tournament. Henley's been playing some good golf, and he's finished 30th and 4th here. He's not necessarily the best course fit because he's not a long driver of the ball, but he is very good with his long iron, so maybe that helps make up for that lack of distance off the tee. Terrell Hatton hasn't been great, but hasn't been bad on Live. Nothing worse than a T21 finish. He's one of those guys that he says he likes Augusta every year before the Masters, and then once it starts, he usually loses his mind. He's been on Twitter a couple times complaining about the course and all that. So I don't know what to expect from Hatton. On paper, I like him in majors. Just this one, he hasn't had a lot of success on. Fleetwood finally bounced back. I can get on him this week at 7,500. Don't have a lot of interest in Sam Burns, but I'll play a little bit of Bryson. So when he called this a par 68 or whatever, he has struggled ever since. No good finishes. The best finish he ever had here was as an amateur when he had the old school hat on. But yeah, I think he's playing well. He's one of those guys that, he bombs it. So if he can get these greens figured out, I was looking at his strokes gain numbers at the Masters over the last couple of years, and it's mostly been the putter that's let him down. So historically, he's been a very good putter. Connors, always play Connors at the Masters. Fitzpatrick, the weight in the driver, that whole issue, apparently, I don't know. Maybe I believe him. So top 10s in each of his last 2 starts since he found that extra weight in his driver. Max Homa just hasn't been good at the majors. His ball striking numbers haven't been very good this year. I'll always play some Adam Scott at the Masters. He's got a green jacket. Patrick Reed also has a green jacket. One of my favorite value plays is going to be Benny On, 6,700. He has missed 2 cuts in a row, but the ball striking numbers have been good. He's look at this driving distance. I mean, number 1 in the field over the last 6 months. He makes a lot of birdies. He hasn't been great here. I think he's only 1 for 4 in cuts made, but I think he's a different golfer now than he was back then. Much better putter at this stage of his career. Siwoo Kim playing well. The tee to green numbers have been awesome. So he's gained at least 5.7 strokes tee to green, 6 of his last 7 starts. So that's encouraging. And look at these numbers at the Masters. Just a lot of solid finishes. I can definitely get behind some Siwoo Kim at 7,100. The one concern, he is one of the shorter hitters in the field. Then we have Minwoo Lee, who is a great course fit, just terrible form. Other than the T2, I want to say that was at the Cognizant Classic. He's been pretty terrible this year, but does have a top 15 here. Do like the course fit, so I'll be overweight on him. Strictly an MME play, in my opinion. Jaeger coming off the win, don't know what to expect. He's a first-timer here. Harmon, I just don't know if he has the distance to contend. He'd probably make the cut. Jason Day, I think he has more upside than somebody like Harmon or Jaeger, so I'll play him in my MME player pool. Don't have a lot of interest in Kirk. I mean, if you want a cheap guy that's probably going to make the cut, you can go with Kirk, but I don't think he has a lot of upside given his lack of distance off the tee. Akshay with the win last week. That was fun to watch. Played great on Sunday and still had to go to a playoff to beat Denny. Then dislocated his shoulder while he was fist pumping. So he's currently listed as questionable. He's expected to play this week. But, I mean, first timer here, coming off the win, dealing with the shoulder. I'll probably just avoid him completely. No Tom Kim for me. He played well here last year, but he's just not been good this year. If I'm playing somebody in bad form, I'd rather go with Sungjae. Keegan's got some okay finishes at Augusta. I'm okay looking to Keegan. Danny at 10%. I mean, he projects pretty well for me, but he is a first-timer here. He's a very short hitter. He does say he likes longer and difficult tracks, so maybe we can play some Denny at 62, but I don't love the ownership number there. Eric Cole is probably my favorite guy in the 6K range outside of Benny On. I know he's missed 3 of his last 5 cuts. His biggest issue is his driver. So he sprays the ball a lot, not necessarily the longest driver off the tee. But these wide fairways are going to help him. He's very good with his approach play, good on and around the greens. I also think Harris English is a strong option. He's been playing some very consistent golf outside of last week's miscut. I think he had made 12 straight cuts before that. Sergio had like a 3-foot putt to win last week in Doral. Ended up missing it. Lost in a playoff to Dean Burmeister, the Mista lady. Poston, I think Poston is an interesting option as well at 6,800. So he's one of those guys that can gain strokes in all facets. The ball striking has come down a little bit, but T34 here last year. Again, a lot of these guys don't have top 10 upside, but I do think they are interesting. The one guy that wouldn't surprise me to top 10 is Taylor Moore. He's been playing well. He's got pretty good distance off the tee, as you can see here. Pretty good around the green, and his approach games have been good this year. So he's been playing good. I think he's a very interesting option. Glover's kind of the same, so he's always been known as a ball striker. He's gained around the green in 8 of his last 9 starts. So if he's going to be chipping it well and striking it well, I like him at 6,300. And then we'll see if there's anybody else. So I don't love Rose, even though he's got a lot of good finishes at the Masters. Pavon, he's been pretty bad since his win. Hadwin, short hitter. Van Rooyen's been pretty good this year. Some high-end finishes, but he's coming off of back-to-back missed cuts. I would like to see a little better form from him. Griot, just so bad around the green that worries me. Everyone's going to be missing greens, especially with these windy conditions. I think Shank is a viable option at 6,200. He's an easy direct pivot off of Denny if he's going to be the chalk down there. Luke List, I'm fine fading List. No interest in maybe a little interest in Nick Taylor. He's played well in some good fields. We have Moronk, who's been playing over on the Live Tour. He's got 4 straight top 20s. I think he played here last year. Yeah, he did. He missed the cut, but at least he's seen the course. Højgaard's one of the longer hitters in this range. Cam Davis, I think, is interesting as well, coming off of a T21. Kitayama played here last year, missed the cut, but at least he's seen the course. He's had some high finishes this year. Ricky's just an easy cross out for me. I'm rooting for him. I want him to, have a good comeback. But after his win, he doesn't have a single top 20 in a full field event. And that his win was like last summer. So it's been a long time. Just trying to see if there's anyone else. So Gary Woodland gained 12 strokes, tee to green in his last start. Was T14 here last year. He is very volatile. So I would, be careful when rostering him. Again, I'm going to just be betting Tiger Woods to make the cut. See if there's anyone else. I think that's it for me. I mean, I'm not messing with the amateurs, the old guys. And for the most part, I like the idea of starting with somebody that you think you can win and then going with the balanced approach, because everyone, in these small fields tends to be like, okay, most of the field is going to make the cut. So we might as well go riskier, go with the stars and scrubs approach. The problem is there's not a lot of guys in the 6Ks that have upside. Like if you get 6 to 6 through the cut, that's nice. And if you have two superstars, that's nice. But you're going to be competing with a lot of people that have 6 to 6 through the cut. They have more guys with top 10 upside. So for me, I like starting with the Scheffler and then going the balance route, starting with the Rory, going the balance route. If you start with Xander, you can definitely go, 2 or 3 guys in the 9K range. So yeah, that's kind of the way I'm approaching it this week from a lineup construction standpoint. Again, if you are a premium member, you can download the model. You can do whatever you want with it. You can create your own ratings, and then you come over to this upload tab here at the bottom, and it'll automatically show what you have come up with for each player. You can upload these into Lineup HQ and build lineups directly off of your own custom set of rankings. And thanks for watching this video. I'm excited for the Masters. It's always, I feel like a kid on Christmas Eve. Then when it's over, you feel sad for another year. But it's going to be a fun week. I'm excited to see Tiger back. We'll catch you back here next week. Good luck. Join the Discord. Join RG Premium if you want. If not, just leave me a thumbs up on this video. That would be I would appreciate it. So best of luck. We'll see you next week.